For years, if there's been a list on the internet of the top WTF, most inappropriate, or worst action figures of all time, the Shapeshifter Punisher is usually at the top or near the top of any of those lists. And since I first saw those wacky images, I wanted to get my hands on one of these to truly see if it lives up to its many infamous titles. And not only did it live up to the infamy, I found out so much more about this figure than I thought I ever would. Hello everybody and welcome to Geek Dad Life. It's your host, Jay Glatfelter here. Decades before the MCU made a host of Marvel characters household names, Toy Biz brought those very characters to toy aisles with wave after wave of iconic Marvel characters. From X-Men, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Ghost Rider, and more. They had a few other licenses here and there, but in the 90s, their bread was buttered by countless toy lines supporting Marvel properties. Toy Biz eventually merged with the comic book maker in 1998, the same year as the introduction of their Shapeshifters toys. To try and maximize profits, Toy Biz left no stone unturned when it came to different toy ideas, and they had no problem making them weird. From motorcycles that had Wolverine's face on it, the projectors line that projected scenes from the animated shows from the chests of your favorite heroes, X-Men monster armor figures, Spider-Man adventure hero toys, creepy Aunt May, blowing action Banshee, Mystique transforming into Wolverine. Really, this list could take up a whole video. But out of all of these weird releases, the Marvel Shapeshifters toy line brought us arguably its weirdest, funniest, and most inappropriate figure, the Shapeshifters Punisher. Shapeshifters were introduced in 1998, and the toy's premise was simple enough. Take iconic Marvel characters and leverage some low-rent Transformers mechanics to change them into something else related to the character. Spider-Man could turn into a spider or a beetle, Lizard into an alligator, Rhino into a rhino. Admittedly, some alt modes were pulled off better than others. And I know it's easy to poke fun at these now, but Hasbro has made their own Transformer Marvel crossovers, but they smartly use vehicles as the base that then turned into the character. Shapeshifters lasted for a few years, first as extensions of the Spider-Man and X-Men lines, and then as a standalone toy line. It was in their second year, 1999, that the deluxe Power Pistol Punisher was released. A lot is said about what all of the people involved with this toy were thinking, and how it was banned and pulled from shelves, but we'll dig into that a little bit later. The unifying feature of these deluxe toys was that they all turned into some form of a projectile launcher. This feature set is probably what influenced the decision to turn the Punisher into a gun. But in all fairness to the other deluxe figures, their quote-unquote launchers weren't located in the crotch. The packaging was bigger to denote its deluxe status, but the only extras were the belt clip and projectiles. The box had a big window showcasing the figure, and the front and back contained images that showed it transforming into the Power Pistol. Taking the figure out of the packaging, it actually isn't a terrible looking Punisher figure. It has all the iconic Punisher elements, even if the white of his suit is swapped out with silver here. He has a decent head sculpt, especially for the era, and in general, perfectly serviceable paint applications. Of course, none of that is why anyone cares about this figure today. It's all in his transformation, or more specifically, his hips.
It's all in the head.
Even with all of the infamy this figure has, you think I would be desensitized to how this thing works. But actually owning this figure and starting the transformation, it literally blows my mind that this is how the figure works. The Power Pistol pops out of his crotch like right off the bat. And that's not the worst of it. The way you fire the projectile is highly questionable. See, you push/pull down on the shaft barrel of, well, just watch how it works. The rest of the transformation is fine, I guess, but it's hard to think of anything else after you experience the start of changing it into the Power Pistol. Once he's a Power Pistol, it kinda sorta looks like a pistol. I mean, honestly, this thing is so ridiculous, and I'm left wondering the same thing anyone who sees this figure wonders. What in the heck were they thinking? Fortunately, we don't have to wonder anymore because I was able to get in touch with a former director of product development at Toy Biz when this figure was made, and they can finally shed some light on this figure. Jesse Falcon, who started with Toy Biz in 1994, was there at the time this figure was made. He confirmed once and for all what the toy maker's thought process was when they were making this figure. It was fairly simple. They were focused on making a transforming toy that used the Marvel license. That's it. And during that time, making the transformations work was very difficult, and there was usually a choice that had to be made on what would look the best versus how it would function. And they elected for the human form to look the best, and that meant trying to make the transformation work as best as possible within the human form of the figure. The fact that halfway through transforming the figure, it looked like he had a gun coming out of his crotch was mere coincidence. He referenced how you could pause the movie frame by frame, and you could potentially spot something inappropriate that you wouldn't notice if you were watching the movie in real time. The same was true of this Punisher figure. No one noticed the mid-transformation that later became infamous while they made the figure and after it was delivered to toy stores. And one of the stories of the figure being pulled from shelves, parents calling up Toy Biz demanding for its removal, the figure being quote-unquote banned. Most of the online articles around this figure mentioned some form of recall happening to the figure, but this fact quickly became something of a mystery for me. I feel like there have been articles for decades about this toy sparking outrage with parents and getting pulled from shelves. But when I scanned newspaper archives looking for more information on this figure, I couldn't find anything talking about this Punisher being pulled from shelves. Heck, there wasn't even an article mentioning the figure at all, in any capacity. Was what we were all told and thought for years a lie? I had to dig deeper, and luckily there are answers to be found here as well. Jason Geyer, aka Toy Otter, who has been everything from a toy fan web host, a toy journalist, a toy maker, and most recently, the toy designer behind the Long Box Heroes toys, knew the answer. He said it was not pulled or otherwise even mentioned. Toy mags made up a ton of stuff back in the day because no one could really call them on it pre-internet. It is an unintentionally suggestive toy, like the rad repeating Tarzan, but I doubt they got a single call or letter from an actual parent complaining. Usually a toy mag would notice it and then make the story juicier to justify printing it. But pulling a toy costs money and is a huge hassle. You need a really good reason to pull a toy. That said, an individual store can pull a toy if it gets complaints, but they're eating the cost. Jesse confirmed this fact. The Power Pistol Punisher did not receive a single complaint. No outraged parents, no toy sellers pulling the toy from shelves, no news coverage, nothing. But the Power Pistol Punisher being recalled, pulled, and or banned? With the lack of print media and first-hand accounts, we can assuredly say that that narrative is debunked and is just an urban legend. So the Power Pistol Punisher was never pulled off shelves, never banned, never even complained about in the media. Is it still one of the most insane toys ever made? Yes. But it's important to know the context of how it was perceived when it was released, which was a figure without much fanfare at all. The same figure was re-released as a non-deluxe figure with a blue deco, last hitting toy shelves in 2004 in France under the Toy Biz Worldwide label. Buying this Power Pistol Punisher took me on a journey I did not expect. I mean, I knew what awaited me when I was going to transform him, but uncovering the mystery of why he was made the way he was, and debunking an urban legend that has been connected to the figure for over a decade was an unexpected but satisfying journey. And because of that, I am thankful I bought and now have the Power Pistol Punisher in my collection. I'd like to thank the people that make this show possible and my patrons. If you'd like to help this channel grow, become a patron today at patreon.com/geekdadlife. Definitely check out some of the other videos on my channel like this one that YouTube wants you to check out and one of my more recent videos. And until next time, hasta luego and goodbye.